The sun bled into the western sky, streaking the dry plains in shades of amber and crimson. Wind whispered across the cracked earth, carrying the faint scent of sagebrush and smoke from a distant fire. Sheriff Asa Callahan stood with his boots planted firm in the dust outside Dry Creek's jailhouse, hands loose at his sides though every muscle in his body felt taut as a coiled rope. His hat brim was pulled low, shadowing gray eyes that had watched too many men die and too many women weep. In the waning light, a wagon creaked toward the jail, its driver slouched and leering, a man with greasy hair and a mouthful of rotting teeth. Hank Tolliver, a trader who trafficked in flesh as easily as he traded horses. Behind him, tied to the wagon bed like livestock, sat Aylin, her hands bound, ankles raw from leather straps. She did not hang her head in defeat. Even now, her dark eyes met Ace's in unflinching defiance, though her lips were cracked and blood stained the corner of her mouth. Her dress, once soft deerskin, was torn at the shoulder, bearing a streak of sun-browned skin marred with bruises. "You gonna hand her over, Callahan?" Tolliver asked, voice slick as snake oil. "Governor's order was clear. Sell her to me, and we'll all be done with this ugly business." The townsfolk gathered in clusters, their voices buzzing like flies. "She's Apache. They killed plenty of our kin," spat Mrs. Fletcher, a woman whose tongue was sharper than barbed wire. "Sheriff's too soft. He's forgetting who she is," muttered another man, and the murmurs grew like a rising storm. Asa pulled the folded paper from his coat pocket, the inked words heavy as chains. "Sell the prisoner. Make it clean." But nothing about this felt clean. He looked at Aylin again and saw not a prisoner, not a savage, not an enemy. He saw a woman clinging to a sliver of dignity in a world eager to strip her of it. Aylin's jaw tightened. Her voice was hoarse but steady when she spoke. "Go on, Sheriff. Sell me like they sold your soul. Isn't that the law you worship?" The words cut deeper than any blade. Asa flinched, and his fingers closed around the paper until it crumpled in his palm. "You've got no choice," Tolliver sneered. "She ain't worth your neck." But Asa's mind was elsewhere, drifting to memories he'd buried beneath layers of whiskey and duty. His wife's laughter, the soft coo of his infant son, the smoke rising over their cabin when raiders came. He'd painted all Apache in the colors of his grief, but looking at Aylin now, he saw shades he didn't recognize: fear, pride, a desperate will to live. At dusk, he brought her water. She hesitated before taking it, fingers brushing his. The touch was fleeting but lit a spark in Ace's chest he hadn't felt in years. She drank in small gulps, her throat working, and whispered when she thought no one was listening. "Have mercy, please. I can give you a child if you forgive me." The words were bartered like currency, but beneath them, Asa heard the shiver of shame. She was offering her body, not out of desire, but as the only leverage a woman in her position had left. That night, Asa sat alone in his office, staring at the lamplight flickering across the floorboards. He thought of Aylin, her lips trembling as she drank, her eyes darting like a cornered doe's. He thought of how Mercy had been a stranger in his own life since the day his family was buried. When morning came, Tolliver returned with shackles. The crowd was thicker now, voices louder, sharp with judgment. Asa stepped outside, rifle slung over his shoulder, hat low against the rising sun. Tolliver grinned. "Time's up, Sheriff." "No," Asa said. His voice was quiet, but carried like thunder. "The girl stays." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Tolliver scowled. "You defy the governor's order for her? You've gone soft, Callahan. She's nothing but trouble." "Maybe," Asa said, his gaze steady. "But I reckon I've seen enough men sold and women broken. Not today. You'll hang for this." "Then I'll hang." Asa's hand rested on his rifle, not lifting it, not needing to. The steel in his voice was weapon enough. Aylin stared at him, lips parted, breath catching like a bird's. For the first time, the fire in her eyes softened, not with surrender, but with something quieter, something like hope. When the trader finally spat in the dirt and rode off cursing, Asa turned to Aylin. He untied her hands slowly, the rope rough against his calloused fingers. "Why?" she asked, her voice breaking. Why would you throw your life away for me? Asa looked at her, really looked at her. Her hair was wild, her dress torn, her skin bruised, but she stood proud, unbowed. Because no one threw theirs away for me, he said softly. And I know how much that hurts. Aylin's lips trembled. For a moment, she swayed as though the weight of those words might crush her, but Asa's hands were there, steady, warm, lifting her gently as if she were something precious and not a condemned soul. The sun climbed higher, washing them in gold. Around them, the crowd dispersed, muttering like cowards too afraid to act. Asa led her to his horse. "We'll ride at first light," he murmured. "You're not safe here." Her fingers brushed his as he helped her into the saddle. The touch was light as a feather, but it lingered. "I can't give you a son," she said quietly, staring at the horizon. "Not like I said. That was a lie. I just didn't want to die." Asa climbed up behind her, his hands resting lightly on the reins. "You don't owe me a thing," he said. "Not a child. Not even thanks. Just ride with me. That's enough." Aylin's breath hitched. The air between them shimmered, not with heat or desire, but with a fragile bloom of trust. As the horse moved forward, the sheriff's voice, low and thoughtful, seemed to carry on the wind, as though speaking not to Aylin, but to anyone who might one day find themselves at a crossroads. There comes a time when a man stops asking what the world owes him, and starts asking what kind of man he wants to be. Mercy weighs heavy, but it makes the soul lighter. And as the desert stretched wide before them, they rode not as captain and captive, but as two souls daring, for the first time in years, to believe in something like love.